Happy Tuesday to you, everyone. The 4th of July is coming up this weekend, and for a lot of dogs out there, that's pure panic. It's not going to be a celebration of any sort. It can cause animals to be extremely fearful. It can have a long and forever lasting effect on dogs. It's something that if your dogs deal with any sort of noise phobia, we may want to jump on this thing real quickly and take care of it. I was just reading in the news last night in an article published by USA Today saying that fireworks have reached an all-time high in sales. Yeah, an all-time high. And they say the reason for this is that a lot of cities are foregoing the big events, the big firework displays that you normally see in a lot of big cities. And therefore, a lot of the individuals, private citizens, are going out buying fireworks like never before. And I think that's true because even around my neighborhood, they've already been going off left and right. And typically in my neighborhood, you start wondering, was that fireworks or was that gunfire? But anyway, it's going off. It's already starting to happen. It's going to build for this weekend. And if you have a dog who's just absolutely terrified of fireworks, hey, there's some help and there's some things that we can do to try and mitigate that as much as possible. But a little bit of a history about noise phobias in general, just in general. First of all, they're very common. They just vary greatly in intensity. And they also vary a lot as to what the animal perceives as a noise and something that I should be fearful of. I have encountered dogs that weren't the least bit fearful of fireworks, but extremely fearful of gunfire. I've had dogs that didn't think a thing about gunfire, didn't think a thing about fireworks, but extremely fearful of thunder associated with a storm, and so on and so forth. I've seen them run away from the crackle of a fireplace, but yet handle fireworks like they're nothing. So it does vary among dogs greatly. A lot of it has to do with geographics, and a major influencer is genetics. So many animals are predisposed to be noise phobic, just from a genetic standpoint. It's an inheritable trait. It's very common among herding dogs. Even Captain, who you've seen in all these videos, there are moments in which if he hears a firecracker going off, he can be a little bit nervous around it for sure. And yet, as far as my knowledge goes, and I've had him since he was 9 weeks old, I've never had him around anything that I would perceive as being very traumatic to him from a noise standpoint. So again, there's a lot of genetics involved that can predispose your dog, and not all noises are perceived the same. Gunfire, backfires with cars, storms, you name it. And the reactions that dogs have, they're not all the same. So you can introduce fireworks to 3 dogs, and you may have one dog who runs and dives underneath the bed. Closest bed, I'm gone. That's what I'm going to do. It's called avoidance. You may have another that hangs around you and clings to you, but they're going, they're panting. They're very fearful. You can see their expressions on their face. You can have that. And then you can have some animals who just flat out panic. I mean, they just panic. And that's a really terrible place to be. And I'll explain why in just a second here. And that's somewhere that we have got to avoid. You must avoid panic, because panic is bad. It consolidates memories. And if you've ever panicked once, then at least you panicking at a greater level the next time you encounter anything remotely similar to it. Now, again, think about yourself. Perhaps you took a flight somewhere, and it was at first you didn't really care about flying. It doesn't bother you at all. But you have a very bad trip. The plane loses a lot of altitude, face masks come down, all this sort of stuff. You think, that's it. It's over. I'm going to die for sure. Well, I'm here to tell you, probably the next 10 flights you ever take after that particular flight, you're going to be far more nervous, far more anxious. You can learn to be afraid, and animals can learn to be afraid as well. So you just cannot let animals reach a panic level. Concern's fine. We learn from concern. But panic is horrible. Like I said, it's an inherited trait. It's usually common among herding dogs. And one of these things when it comes to any sort of phobias at all, especially noise phobias, the ontogeny of these phobias is very rapid. And if you don't jump on it early, so those of you who have a young dog right now, when I say young, typically under about a year of age, maybe a year and a half at the latest, If they're already starting to show signs of being fearful of noises, particular noises or a group of noises, this is something that you're going to want to have treated early, because something that you can pretty much guarantee it will get worse. It will. Because again, you're dealing with a big genetic influence, and now all it takes is the environment, and you mix the two together, and next thing you know, we start having major problems here. So speaking of genetics and speaking of treatment, what do you do to treat a dog like that? Well, number one, by far, any situation. If you're fearful of flying, find another mode of transportation, you're good to go. If you tell me, Bryan, I'm deathly afraid of tight spaces, I'm just going to advise that you stay out of them. Game over. No problem there, man. Just avoid it. And if you have dogs that are fearful of loud noises, especially fireworks, then do what you can to have your dog avoid it. Try to put your dog somewhere where it can avoid the fireworks. The neat thing up until this year, there's no predictability this year. A lot of things have gone out the window that we used to know. But you knew when there were going to be fireworks. It was going to be on the 4th of July, or it's going to be on New Year's Eve, and it was going to be held at a certain time, because you wanted to make sure that you got there early, you got the best vantage point to be able to see the fireworks. So it was very predictable. And now you can say, okay, so fireworks are going down at 9 p.m. tonight. By 6 p.m., just in case someone starts firing off a few firecrackers a little early, let's go ahead and take our dog to Grandma's house, because Grandma lives out in the middle of nowhere, and they're not going to have fireworks out there in the middle of nowhere, so we'll just take our dog out there. If you can do something like that, just boarding in and of itself at a boarding facility may not guarantee that your dog will not avoid or not encounter fireworks. They certainly could. I mean, the boarding facility, wherever it's located, they're shooting off fireworks, well then, there's your dog. Except now minus my support system that I have to have, that social support. So again, avoidance is always the number one thing that you want to try to do. Always try to avoid the provocative event or the provocative stimulus, the very thing that will trigger your dog's stress response system at an extremely high level. The one that I'm talking about that is extremely harmful to the animal, and even you ever go there, it's extremely harmful to you as well, and it will have lasting effects. There is no such thing as a one and done when you go to that type of level there. Okay, so you can't avoid it. You can't. You're going to be here. You're not traveling. You're kind of shut down. You're not, you're just not going anywhere. You are here. You're going to be here. Fireworks are going to occur. They're going to occur around your neighborhood. The city's planning on having a big fireworks event. You cannot avoid. That means at that point there, if you have a fearful dog, or you even suspect that you have a fearful dog when it comes to fireworks, then you must now intervene. Intervene. Intervention is what is required. So how do you intervene? Typically here in modern times, we intervene chemically. Chemically, that's right. Intervene chemically. And you can do that in several ways, and you will need to consult with your veterinarian regarding this, finding which medication would be the best approach, or whichever medication they're going to prescribe, because sometimes you get the difference in the two, just so you know. Benzodiazepines, especially panicolytic benzodiazepines, are by far, in my experience, and again, I've been doing pharmacotherapy for over 40 years. In my experience, something that akin to alprazolam or diazepam. Any of those will disrupt the panic. They will disrupt it. And let me kind of show you how that happens here. So let me just flip my page over for just a second here. Again, our three basic emotional states, keeping it really simple here: calm zone, arousal zone, panic reactive zone. You want to avoid this zone up here at all cost. At all costs. The closer you get to that, the more your dog will develop what's called molecular memory of the event. Meaning, I may not be consciously aware of it, but my brain is, my amygdala is. It will react should I even encounter anything even remotely similar to that in the future. It's going to think it is that very thing that occurred the very first time. So molecular memory is a bad thing to have happen to your dog from a very undesired event, behavior-wise, and definitely from a very traumatic event. So again, here's your dog down here in the calm zone. Boom, off goes a firework. Boom, another one goes off. There you go. That's it. My physiological stress response has just been mobilized. My heart rate goes up. My respiration goes up with it. I'm secreting glucose throughout my system. My eyes are dilated so I can see better. My cognition is enhanced all the way to about here because of that latent memory, because of all the ways I've handled this in the past, and so on and so forth. All of that's happening in rapid milliseconds. Here we go. But the problem is that if it keeps going past this point here, it'll reach this area here. That's a really bad area. Because now you can't really intervene from a training standpoint, from an owner standpoint, from a comfort standpoint. You cannot. This area here is where humans black out. So they're conscious. They're running their own heart. They're all their systems. They're running it on their own. They're conscious. They could be talking to you. They could be answering a first responder's questions. Hey, are you okay? I need to check you out here to make sure you're okay. Do you know the alphabet? No, don't start singing it to me. Start with the letter E as on Edward, end on the letter T as in Tom. They're going to run you through a battery of neurological tests, and you could just spout that off and get it spot on perfect. But the next day when someone asks you about the accident that you had, your reply could be, what are you talking about? I don't remember it. I only remember up to a certain point. I don't remember anything more. So your dog can go here as well. It can be conscious. It can be interacting. It can be fearful. But it has gone so far that the animal's body has taken over. It's literally shut you down. Forget the enhanced cognition. I don't need you overthinking this, Fido. I'll take it from here. This is your brain. This is your heart talking to you. We'll take it from here. And what that animal's brain and heart's going to rely upon is any way that in the past, if they've encountered this in the past, if it got them out of that situation, that's what I'm going to fall back on. And we've talked about this before with aggression. If biting, lunging got me out of this situation, you guarantee I'm going back there again. Why would I not? So fleeing, running away, diving underneath the bed, urinating, defecating, all of these things. If this got me out of this situation, or if this was a consequence of the situation, the dog is going back there again over and over again. But here's another major problem. Once I go here, once I'm here, then there's a natural event that occurs that's called decay, where you start to come back down. Back down. You cannot stay up in that level. You will die up in that level. You cannot remain up in that level. The body can't keep you there. It's going to run out of energy and all sorts of things. So you will decay. You will start to come back down, whether you like it or not. But you can't speed it up. Not a dog. Human can through biofeedback, talking to themselves, so on and so forth, but not dogs can't. So they will start to come down. But if it was a level 10 event that shot that animal up here because that fireworks went off, while I'm decaying, and that could take anywhere from minutes to hours to even a few days for some dogs and even longer for other things. But while that is going on, so the major firework display is done. It's done. It's 10 p.m. It's over. Your dog is starting to decay. But someone fires off a firecracker at 2 a.m. While you're decaying, coming down to here, a level 2 event that is similar to the level 10 event will send the dog right back to the top again. And so this thing just goes on and on and on and on and on. And it becomes extremely harmful, compounding the molecular memory and anything and everything that the dog does, and to even remotely try to escape this, it'll remember forever. Hear that? Forever. And the reason why I'm going over all this with you is because this is a very likely scenario. Boom, big display, boom, 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 boom. Then all of a sudden, pop, 2 a.m. They're still up. Someone's out there partying, having a great time. Pop, another firecracker. Then tomorrow, I've got some left over. I paid a lot of money for these things, so I'm not going to let them go to waste. Pop, pop, pop. And then even a couple days after that, pop, 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 pop. Yeah, and by then, your dog's headed over into the abyss. And you don't want that. So the reason why I'm just spouting all this stuff off here, just so you know, is because many times when I even mention chemicals, I even mention medications for dogs, here's what I get back. Oh, that's just big pharma. I don't believe in medicating my dog, Bryan. Yeah, says the dog owner who just popped an Advil before they came to see me for a headache. Says the dog owner who takes medications to help them sleep. Who takes medications for their blood pressure. Really? Get with it. If you're one of those people, you shouldn't own a dog if you own a fearful dog like this, because chemicals can help them. And if you truly love your dog, you want to tell me you love your dog? Then you would do this. And if you were your dog could talk to you, it would say, I would take anything, any cocktail that you could possibly come up with to not have to deal with that. Anything. I don't care. All right. So do it. So let me get back to my other page. So me, I got a fearful dog. I'm telling you what. There's a lot of medication you can use. But in my past, the thing that stops this, and again, I'm just going to take a little peek back here. Remember my panic reactive zone? The way these panicolytic benzodiazepines work, the way they work is they disrupt the panic. They trap the animal chemically about midway through that arousal column, that midway point. And if the dosage is right on a benzodiazepine, you won't even know the animal's on it. The animal, of course, doesn't know it's on it. They don't know when you give them medication, oh, hey, I'm on something, so therefore I probably won't be as fearful or what have you. They don't have a clue. So it's easy to track any sort of behavioral changes you get, what works, what doesn't work, because it'll either work or it won't work, or you have dosage failure or you'll have medication failure. But on benzos, the animal will act perfectly normal until it encounters the provocative event or the stimulus, and then that's when you'll notice, bingo, wow, that really helped. Dang, my dog's hanging out here in the living room with us, and yeah, he looks a little concerned, but he's not diving underneath the bed. Yeah, so benzos are great. Benzos, so ask your veterinarian about alprazolam or diazepam. They work like a champ, I'm telling you what. And what you would have to do with benzos, they have a half-life. And because they have a half-life, meaning about 4 to 6 hours once in the system, so let's say you gave 100 mg, then you'd only have about 40 mg hanging around in the body. That may not be enough to keep your dog trapped in that arousal call, so you may have to redose and so on and so forth. But again, you get that done with your veterinarian. But you have to anticipate. When it comes to this right here, if you want to use it as a true preventive, you have to anticipate, which again, previous 4th of July, at least all the ones I can remember, they were pretty much predictable. Hey, 9 p.m., here we go. Let's go ahead and get ready before then, because it takes about 45 minutes to an hour for most benzodiazepines to take effect, to be there and to start to do their job. Then they're really good, in my experience, for about 2-3 hours at the most after that. Then I find that if the provocative event or stimulus is still hanging around, you typically have to redose from that point on. But that's a suggestion for you, is talk to your veterinarian about a benzodiazepine. If not, then a lot of veterinarians nowadays are starting to rely on what's called a serotonin antagonist reuptake inhibitor or serotonin agonist reuptake inhibitor. It just depends upon the dosing, which one you call it. It's called trazodone. And trazodone has a bit of a sedative type quality to it. So it does have some sedation. Be careful with the dosing on it, because the last thing you want is the animal to actually be sedated. Because again, I can be sedated, but if you're not like all the way sedated, then I'm in foggy land. Foggy land's a horrible place to be, because part of my brain is picking up through my senses what the heck is going on here, but I don't feel like I can do anything about it. So you don't want your dog to be in that land there. They can't interpret it. Even a dog who's not fearful of thunderstorms or fireworks, if they happen to be on trazodone for something else, then they can, at that point, in being in foggy land, being over sedated, they can actually develop a fear. because they simply were not able to interpret the signal. And they had no referent because I'm in foggy land. So watch your dosing on that, but trazodone, serotonin antagonist or agonist reuptake inhibitor, is a medication that a lot of veterinarians are leaning on nowadays to help treat this. And again, it has a half-life, so it has to be treated the same way as the benzos. You got to be able to anticipate the event, and you've got to be able to give it to your dog a good 45 minutes to an hour before the onset of the event. There's also an alpha agonist known as clonidine. It works by kind of inhibiting the heart rate. The heart's a big old muscle in here. If you can force that thing to slow down one way or the other, then everything slows down. It just does. It's got to work with the brain, So that's back in the old days where they had straitjackets. What do? They compressed your thoracic cavity. By pressing on your thoracic cavity, they actually forced the heart rate to slow down. And when that slows down, everything slows down. Kind of hard to have a high stress response if your darn heart can't beat fast enough. Can't deploy all that glucose and everything else I need for you. That's the way thunder shirts work. That's how they are supposed to work anyway, is by pressing and squeezing on the thoracic cavity, again, forcing the heart rate to slow down, which will then force the stress response to stay at a certain level. So that works as a chemical way. Again, thunder shirts, you can also try those as well. And then for dogs who seem to have, definitely I'm a little stressed, but I'm not majorly stressed. You just kind of pace and salivate a little bit, and I'm just kind of a little anxious here, and I'm okay. I'm good, I'm gonna make it. I'll be okay. Those dogs, you could try cannabidiol. And again, everyone probably knows what CBD is, cannabidiol. It is the non-hallucinatory agent that's associated with the tetrahydrocannabinol, which is the THC value found in marijuana plants. So cannabidiol is good for those lower level dogs, the ones that just seem to be a little stressed, but give them a little cannabidiol, and you can find that it can really, really drive them down towards that calm zone. And again, every single one of these I mentioned have a half-life. Every single one of them require you to anticipate. Okay, but let's say, just for example, dang it, I forgot it was the 4th of July. I remember one time I hopped up here, I forgot what darn day it was when I was talking to you people. So it can happen. It can happen. So I forgot it's the 4th of July. I forgot the fireworks are going off till I hear boom, 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 boom. Well, okay, I can't use these medications as a true preventive. So now I'm going to have to use it definitely as flat-on intervention. So that means go ahead, give your dog the medication, give the CBD right here, right now. Do it. Get it done. Because remember, it's going to take time for decay. So anything that you can get in the animal is better than nothing. Just get it in there because it'll definitely work during the decay period. And depending upon how long those fireworks are going to last, it can definitely help out a lot. So if you get caught off guard, that's it. There you go. Down the hatch. One thing when it comes to CBD, by the way, I like the oil versus the treats, especially if I need to use it in a real hurry, because the oil, of course, is going to be absorbed much faster than something that has to go all the way down here and get digested by the good old stomach, which one of the byproducts of the stress response is the inhibition of energy, the storage of energy. So when a mammal is under a high stressor, it's going to shut down all short-term projects. We're not going to worry about that. You might only be alive for 30 more seconds. So I'm not going to store any energy, just so you know. I'm going to use all that you have. Yeah, this kind of like throwing all in with the chips on the poker table. I'm throwing it all in here. So treats may not work at that moment. Your dog may not even take a treat and definitely will not digest a treat, especially if you use it as a true preventive, maybe so. But if you're using it as an intervention because you're already caught in the provocative event, I guarantee you it just ain't going to work. So I probably skipped that simply because the physiological stress response will probably inhibit your dog from digesting it at that moment there. Okay, so what else can you do? So either A, you try to avoid it. B, you give your dog something chemically to kind of keep it down, but you didn't get any of that done. You didn't get to the vet in time to get your medications. You didn't avoid it. Here it is. It's right here. What can you do. Me, if I can, I'm going to try to just do what I call half avoidance. Okay, so let's go put you in a safe place. How about in the laundry room? Let's pull down the blinds. Let's just put you there, get you in a den-like environment, somewhere where you feel safe. If the dog's used to being kenneled, maybe in the kennel, throw a blanket over it to good old parrot effect. If I'm not seeing the flashing light, at least that's one less sensory input coming in that's flooding my brain with this panic. You want to put the animal somewhere where it will be safe, where it cannot harm itself. If you can't get that thing done, then you're just going to have to hang on with the dog and be right there with the dog. Just be careful that if you're with the dog, you can provide social support, but you should provide it in the way that looks like you're not the least bit concerned. In other words, you're going, really? Seriously, it's affecting you that bad, huh? Tell you what, once you lay down right here, stay. How about that? Good. Good down, good stay. Be very careful about confusing the animal by stroking it, rewarding it, doing all of these things to it that it could possibly believe and be made to believe during those circumstances that this is how I should respond. Because it'd be the same pet that you'd give for good sit, good down, good stay. Now, so you're just going, it's okay, it's all going to be fine. Be careful with that. That can help some dogs, but other dogs, what you can help is their reaction, their future reactions to this provocative event or this stimulus. Me, I'm probably going to err on the side first of, hey, tell you what, down. Well, that gives me a reason to pat you because that was a darn good down. How about if we do that? If you're going to do that, you're going to have to do that before the animal reaches that really high column. Once they get to that anywhere near the panic reactive zone, they will be immune. They'll be immune to any of your input. Remember, procedural memory takes over, implicit memory takes over. I'm not going to be thinking about you. I'm not going to be thinking about anything. I'm going to be thinking about survival. That's it. So you got to get it. You got to get everything done here. So this is the magical area right here, guys. I'm going to kind of circle in red here. Right here. You got to get it done right there. It's got to happen there. Anything north of that, very little chance of success from that point on. Okay, so if you got to rewind this and watch it a couple times, do so. I know I put a lot of information out there and I just jammed it down your throat in a real hurry here. It is Tuesday, the 4th of July. This year's is coming Saturday. If you have a dog that is phobic around fireworks, gunfire, anything remotely like that at all, do you and your dog a big favor. Go see your veterinarian and simply ask him for a little bit of chemical help here. Trap your dog in that arousal column. Do that. And then the day will pass. And even the next couple of days. I'd probably even give it the next couple of days as a preventive just to make sure that if anyone has a big old supply of fireworks because they bought more than what they could use on the 4th, I don't want my dog going back up there because just remember, if it took a level 10 event to send them up while they're in decay till they finally get all the way down to their baseline, a level 2 event can send them right back up. So that could be one firecracker, just one. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And you should do it as well. Okay, so I hope this helped, guys. Happy, pre-happy 4th of July to you. Please pay attention to this, okay? This is what I do. And I really care about these dogs out there who can't seem to be able to help themselves. So they're relying on you. You're the owner. That's your responsibility. Get it done. If you found this information beneficial to you, and hopefully for your dogs, and you think someone else could benefit from it, please share this video with them. And if you have any questions about it or whatever, send them to me. A lot of questions surrounding pharmacotherapy, especially canine pharmacotherapy. But I find that this is just one of those situations where, believe it or not, you got to do something. To do nothing is irresponsible. It's just flat out cruel. And I know none of you are that. So let's get it done, okay? Take care. If you got any further questions on it, send them to me. All right, guys, be safe the rest of this day, and I'll be checking in again with you tomorrow. We're going to move on down the line with more things, as we always do. So I'll see you tomorrow.